Some questions and concepts that are going to be similar to questions you're going to have on quiz 7. This first one asks us, what percent of 8th graders don't have a pet? Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Well, if we're looking for what percent, remember that percents we want to start off as fractions, and our fractions we're going to think of as part of a whole. Okay, so what part out of what whole are we talking about? Well, the question is saying what percent of 8th graders? That means that we're looking at all the 8th graders and then we're looking at a certain part of that. So the whole is going to be the number of 8th graders. And then don't have a pet. So don't have a pet would be here in this column. But let's first look at how many 8th graders. So let's rewrite this fraction in our denominator, and this is going to be 8th graders without a pet. All right. So how many 8th graders don't have a pet? Well, 10 of them don't have a pet. So that was our part. Out of all of the 8th graders, and let's do that in a different color. So out of all of the 31 8th graders. So let's turn, well, we know that fractions are just division, so 10 divided by 31. So we do 10 divided by 31 in our calculator, and we get 0.3225. So let's round that. So this is, well, I should write about equal to 0.32. And then we would multiply this by 100. So I'll try 0.322 times 100. That's just how you find a percent. You do the part divided by the whole, and then you multiply by 100, because remember that a percent is out of 100. Per means out of, cent, as in like century, means 100. So as a percent, this is going to be 32%. It does say round your answer to the nearest tenth, so we did that. 3.32.2 would be rounded to the nearest tenth. So final answer, 32.2%. 32.2% of the 8th graders don't have a pet, right? That's 10 out of the 31. That's about a third. A third is 33%. So if you just want to use mental math to check your work, you can do that too. Next question. This question is asking which line of fit is most accurate. So if we look at the set of data points, or on the scatter plot, these are both the same scatter plot on the left side and the right side. We just have two different lines of best fit. Hopefully it's kind of easy to see that we have like a cluster of points here and another cluster of points here. So the line that would connect those clusters should go through both of them. Okay, this one really only goes through this bottom cluster. It doesn't go through this top cluster. So it is not, the one on the right is not following the trend of the data. The data has a line that should be a lot steeper. Okay, so this has a smaller slope than this one. The one on the left has a bigger slope than the one on the right. So this one has is a more accurate line of best fit because it follows the trend of the data and it goes through the middle of the data. Same question for A, B, and C, all with the same scatter plots, but different lines of best fit. So this one might be a little bit more difficult to see, but again, if you recall that the idea for a line of best fit has two requirements. So first, it should follow the trend of the data. That one should be true, and also should be true is it should go through the middle. Through the middle of the data. So about the same number of points on each side of the line. So if we imagine like a box. Oop, that was a terrible box. Can I undo that? No, I think I have to erase it. So if we imagine a box, try to be a little bit more accurate here. Around, it's not perfect, around our points. Still not perfect. All right, if we imagine a box, let me make this one better. around our points. Yes, all three of these lines of best fit follow the trend of the data, but not all of them are meeting this second requirement, going through the middle of the data. The one that is most going through the middle of the data, meaning that you have the same number of points on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, if I erase all these, would be B. So hopefully you were able to see that. So B is going more through the middle. For A, you have more points under your line of best fit than you do above it. And for C, you have more points above the line of best fit than you do below it. So you really want one that is going through the middle. So for B, below it, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and above it, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So about through the middle, okay? About 50% on each side. So this question looks like you have a graph of a line, and it says this is the cost of a long distance phone call. Y'all don't even know what that means, but back in the day we used to have to pay to talk on the phone. And it looks like it's comparing the variables of the cost in dollars and the minutes talked. So you paid more depending on how many minutes you spoke on the phone. So what is the slope of the line? So if you recall, to find the slope of a line, you have to find 2 points on your line and do rise over run between them. So let's use this point and this point are 2 nice points and they're close together. So let's just draw a larger version of those 2 points over here. And we'll just draw the line between them. And if we were to in order to find the slope, remember that you got to do rise over run. So rise over run. So rise was from 0.5 to 1. So that would make our rise 0.5. To get from 50 cents to $1 is 50 cents. And our run went from 5 to 10. So our run would be 5. So our slope, remember, is rise over run. And we said our rise was 0.5 and our run was 5. Oh, I should have put a calculator on this screen too, but I didn't. So I'm going to do that in my calculator, and you should too, just to double check my work. Hold on. 0.5 divided by 5. So our slope is 0.1. So our slope is 0.1. What does the slope mean? So the slope is comparing how fast your cost changes depending on how many minutes you talked. So for every 5 minutes you talk, right, your cost goes up of 50 cents. Or for every 1 minute you talk, your cost goes up 10 cents, right? This is really 10 cents. So for every x, your slope really is telling you it's also your rate of change, and you'll see that in the next problem. But your slope is telling you for every one of your x's, and we know that minutes are our x's because it's on our x, it's the label for our x-axis, and y, our y variable is going to be our cost in dollars. For every one of your x's, that's how much your y is going up by or down by if your line is decreasing. So this one should be for every minute you pay 10 cents more. Or I'll do it in a different color. You could say something along the lines of it costs 10 cents per minute, right? That's a more concise way of saying this, that for every minute you pay 10 cents more. Is just it costs 10 cents per minute to talk on the phone. What is the y-intercept of the line? So again, this is our y-axis, this vertical axis. Where does our line cross our y-axis? Well, it actually crosses right at the origin. So it crosses right at the point 0, 0. So the point 0, 0. And what does that mean? Well, we know that this is an ordered pair in the form x comma y. So our x is 0 and our y is 0. So that means that the minutes talked is 0 and the cost is 0. So we could just say that it costs $0 to talk for 0 minutes, and that makes sense. It doesn't always make sense. It costs $0 to talk for 0 minutes. Right? If you don't talk for any amount of time, you shouldn't really have to pay. So that's what this point is our y-intercept, and it means that when x is 0, y is 0. And again, x is our minutes talked, y is the cost in dollars. So when minutes talked is 0, cost is 0. Boom. And last one, looks like we have another line on a graph. It looks like we're measuring river depth, and we're comparing the depth in feet over the months. Okay, so what does the point 5, 10 mean in the context of this problem? Well, it looks like this is our point 5, 10 right here. Same concept, right? When x is 10, when x is 5 and y is 10, right? X, y, ordered pair. Well, that means x is our month. So after 5 months, our depth is 10 feet. So that's what it means. Five months, the depth of the river, because I'll write it, of the river is 10 feet. That's what it means, right? When x equals 5 and y equals 10, it means that the depth of the river is 10 feet. Second part says to describe your rate of change. The rate of change is going to be our slope. So we can use this nice point and this nice point over here that are labeled, and we can find our slope. Obviously, the slope is negative because we're going down from left to right. So we want to make sure that we take that into account when we do our slope. But our slope, again, is going to be rise over run. Between this bottom point, we'd go up by 2. So we're going from 8 to 10. So our rise would be 2. And our run would be going from 6 to 5. So our run would be 1. And since we're going left, we could say -1. So 2 divided by -1 is -2. So that means our slope is -2. And if we wanted to describe it, so that's what it is, our slope is -2. What it means is that for every month you increase, the depth of the river changes by -2. Okay, or it goes down by 2 feet. Okay, so every month the river goes down by 2 feet. The depth decreases by 2 feet. So how could we say that using like really nice, clear, and concise math language? We could say something like the depth of the river decreases by 2 feet per month. Let's write that. The depth of the river decreases by 2 feet per month. I really like writing rates of change using the word per instead of like for every month. They really are interchangeable, but this is just a little bit more mathematically and grammatically nice. And then this one doesn't ask for it, but if, let's say, they asked you for your y-intercept, well, again, this is our y-axis, our vertical axis. Our line crosses it right here. Our y-intercept is the point 0, 2, 0, 20. So that means that our x is 0 and our y is 20. And we know that our x is months. Oh my goodness, my dog is bothering me. X is months, and we know that our y is depth or feet, depth in feet. So what this means is that 0 months, after 0 months, the depth of the river is 20 feet. That's what we would say is the meaning of our y-intercept this point. 0 months, the depth is 20 feet, and it's decreasing by 2 feet every month. That would be the meaning of our slope. So it starts off at 20 feet and goes down 2 feet every month.